Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. So I wanted to do a Bible study, Bible study with me. I'm gonna do like a little series of that because I just found this company called Daily Grace Company, and they have so many study Bibles or study journals or whatever you want to call them, just a variety. They have study cards, they have prayer, like how to do prayers and what you should pray for, just all kinds of stuff, just so much guidance. And I fell in love with it, so I purchased a bunch of books. Right now everything's like, I think 50% off or more. Stuff that's like $50, like 30 bucks. Stuff that's $30, like $10 or $5. So I purchased a lot of books, and I'm waiting on those to come in, but I did get some that were like sent through email for PDF file. They also have, if you go and check this out, they have some that are for free. And I should have checked this before I started, but I'm almost positive this one's for free. It's called Journey to the Cross. So that's the study that we're doing, or that I'm doing, that y'all can do with me. This is what they look like. I know this is probably backwards, but this says Sunday. So they have Sunday through Sunday, but then they have that extra Monday on there. So Sunday through Monday. So it's almost like a week and a half. It's like a week and 2 days. But I am on day 2. I didn't start on a Sunday. Today is Thursday, so I started yesterday on a Wednesday. But I wanted to start these in order because I believe that the way that these fall out, they need to be read in order. So anyways, I started yesterday. I want to do yesterday's, and then I'll make a separate video doing today's. I also want to show y'all, I got a sewing machine, and I have been trying my best to sew a whole bunch of stuff. I want to get really good and maybe make some money and maybe make a living off of it. But I just made a Bible cover with a pocket. It's actually a double pocket. Y'all can see that. So my pen fits in there perfectly, and I happened to not even measure this. I was just eyeballing it and made a pocket, and I went to stick the pen in there. I wasn't even thinking, hey, this needs to be a certain length. I just did it, and praise be to the Lord, it turned out perfect, really. But I posted on Facebook, and I've already got a request to make 2 of them, so we'll see how that goes. But anyways, I wanted to show y'all that because I was really proud of it. It's really pretty. Okay, so back to this. So on this paper, this is the first one. It says Sunday. The title of this study is called Symptoms of Spiritual Blindness. So today's scripture is Matthew 21, 1 through 11, and Luke 19, 28 through 40. So if you're similar to me, you grew up in church, you attended church a lot, like way more than I could count. I couldn't tell you how many times I've attended church in my life, between Wednesday nights, VBS, vacation Bible schools, summer camps. I've done all kinds of stuff, and this is gonna probably sound ignorant, but I had no idea that there was I'm sure it's just sometimes, not always, but there's repetition of the same exact stories in different chapters, if you will, of the Bible. For instance, this Matthew 21, 1 through 11 and Luke 19, 28 through 40 is the exact same story one's told by Matthew and the other one's told by Luke. So it's the exact same story. You can get a million different things from anything you read, you know. I mean, it doesn't matter if it's the cat went up the tree. Somebody can visualize a cat running away from something and jumping in a tree, or somebody else can visualize the cat was just was being lazy and wanted to climb up a tree. Like, I know it's probably a stupid example, but you can just get a million different versions or concepts from reading anything. It doesn't matter what it is, because all of our minds are different, we all function different, we think different, and that's okay. So you can get a million different things. So I will say this: I've never read the Bible cover to cover, and that is my goal. That's why I bought a bunch of these studies, is to help myself and to keep myself on track. They have like this past year, this current year, 2021, I know we're at the end of the year, but they have a read the Bible pretty much cover to cover, read the whole Bible in 1 year. They have studies like that. Those are free. They also have an app called Daily Grace Company, and this is by no way, in no means is this sponsored or any of that. I don't do any of that. I'm not famous enough to do any of that, but I really fell in love with this, and I love that I found a company that has all I also bought Bible tabs, so those are coming, because I'm not familiar enough with the Bible to say flip to Mark and I can tell you where Mark is. I have no idea. I know it's towards the back. That's about it. So I'm gonna get Bible tabs, and hopefully that'll help me. But anyway, so to get started on this, so I've told y'all like 3 times what the chapters were. I'm not gonna read out the Bible. Y'all can pause this video here, read that section, those verses in the Bible, but I'm gonna read to you what they take away from it. And when I say they, this study. So it quotes, "The whole city was stirring up, saying, 'Who is this?' And the crowd said, 'This is the prophet Jesus from Nazareth of Galilee.'" Matthew 21, 10 through 11. So they quoted it right here as to what they're referencing to. The people thought they knew Jesus. They thought they knew who he was. They celebrated as if they did. They put on such a good show that the religious leaders saw their worship and asked Jesus to rebuke the people. And yet the people didn't truly know who they were welcoming into Jerusalem. They knew who they wanted Jesus to be. They wanted him to overthrow the Roman rule and save them from their current form of government. They wanted a powerful leader to sweep them into victory and prosperity. But that wasn't who Jesus was or what he came to do. How often do we get it wrong too? Do we go through the motions of church and religiosity? I can't say that word. But our hearts truly don't know who we serve? Have we created a God that we desire instead of worshiping him for who he really is? In today's reading, Matthew quotes Zechariah 9:9, but he leaves out 2 critical phrases. He eliminates rejoice greatly, because instead of rejoicing, Jesus weeps at the people's spiritual blindness. Matthew 19:41. Matthew also omits righteous and having salvation is he, because even though those things remain true, the people wouldn't accept God's salvation. They wanted to be saved from their physical bondage, but had no idea that they were in such a spiritual need. Revelation 3:17. So when I say Revelation, Matthew, Zechariah, that's actually on this paper. It's in parentheses, so I'm assuming that's what they're referencing as to what they're speaking about. How quickly do we do this? Do we focus so much on the to-do list and the negativity around us that we forget our spiritual needs? Even worse, do we look around us and notice everyone else's faults without realizing how many we have ourselves? This passage reminds me of Peter's dialogue with Jesus just a few chapters before. Who do people say that I am? A prophet? John the Baptist? Elijah? Jeremiah? Who do you say that I am? Peter replied confidently, You are the Christ, the Son of the living God. How could we be so sure? Because he knew him personally. Or how could he be so sure? Because he knew Jesus personally. The people were spiritually blind because Pharisees had stripped the truth of the word and implemented religious rules in its stead. Let's not simply go through the motions of religious conduct. Let's not assume that we know Jesus because we prayed a prayer or grew up in a church. That's not the same as getting to know him. I wonder how often Jesus sees our state of our hearts and weeps over it. Are we relying on teachers of the word to tell us exactly who God is? So this is geared towards women, but anybody can do this study. But the last sentence says, let's be women who dig into the scripture ourselves and know who he is because we've met him ourselves. So what I took from the passage that I read before I even read what I just read to you, I read the Bible verse that it told me at the top. Before reading into whatever it told me, whatever it told me to focus on in that chapter, I went ahead and read it by myself, and I took away that Jesus and his disciples went to Jerusalem. He ordered them to go get a donkey and the donkey's baby, if you will. That's pretty much, I had to look up. Sometimes you have to take a second and look up words that you don't understand, because if you don't understand the sentence of what you're reading, you're not going to understand the deeper meaning behind that sentence. And so you need to, if there's one word in there that you don't understand, and most of the time that one word is a verb, so you really don't understand what the subject is trying to do in that sentence, you're not going to understand the deeper meaning because you didn't even understand just the regular black and white context of it. And sometimes if you don't understand a certain verse, read above it and read below it to get a better understanding of the context of it, because there's times where actually in today's reading that there was some things that were being said that Jesus was speaking to his disciples, and I didn't understand what he was getting at. But as I continued to read down further, I absolutely 100% knew exactly what he meant, because a good thing about the Bible, from everything that I've read so far, is even when Jesus is speaking, a lot of times what he has said, or the meaning of what he has said, just the black and white meaning, not deeper context of what we take from it, but just that black and white, what he said, is reiterated below it. It is repeated, or even above it, or further down below it. So keep reading and read the context of it if you don't understand. And if there's words, take a minute, look up Google, look up that word. I mean, we all have cell phones right here at our disposal right here, so take that second, because if you're just going through the motions like this passage is telling you, if you're just going through the motions and, oh, well, I'm going to read the Bible, but did you understand it? And did you take anything as a deeper meaning from it? Because if not, then what was the point in reading the Bible? Because you get to say that you've read the whole Bible, but could you have a conversation about it? Could you tell me, or not necessarily quote, but could you understand and tell me the things that happened in it? So take that moment, take that second. And what I do is, so y'all see I have my Bible here. Like I said, in this, it tells you up here the passage you're referring to. So I'll pull that out. I'll read that, Matthew 21, 1 through 11. Okay, so I go to my Bible, I pull that out, I read it. But I also have this binder. I mean, it's just a 1/2 inch or 1 inch binder. And I take it, and I have put just regular lined paper in here. And I have actually started to try to read the Bible by myself. I started in Genesis and was trying to read, and I got a lot of understanding and a lot of meaning from it. But not to get into that, but I was just going to tell y'all I have referenced notes in there from that. But to start with this and what we're doing today, I have taken this and written down Sunday, because that's what the title of this is called, and symptoms of spiritual blindness. Wrote that at the top so I know what I'm referring to and what I'm talking about. Then I wrote down Matthew 21, 1 through 11. That way I understood if I ever go to read that again, I can refer back to what exactly, there's a lot of verses in the Bible, so I know exactly what to refer back to. And I read, and I was explaining to y'all what I got from that passage. And what I got was Jesus and his disciples went into Jerusalem. He ordered his disciples, I believe it was 2 disciples, or it may not have actually said a word, but an amount of how many disciples. But I know he was talking to some disciples, and he told them to get a donkey and a baby donkey. But he refers to them as get an ass and a colt. But as I read and see colt, to me, in today's time, I think baby horse. So I was like, oh, okay, well, he wanted a donkey and a baby horse. Well, this is what I was talking about. As I continued to read, and I even went back and read Luke 19, 28 through 40, the exact same story told by someone else. It actually is talking about a donkey and a baby donkey. Or in the context of that time period, the word colt meant, I guess, baby animal in general. And see, I didn't know that. So I pictured a baby horse. Not that it exactly matters, but just to understand that black and white context of what I was telling y'all. So anyways, so he ordered them to get it, and he gave them exact directions as to where the baby donkey and donkey would be located. And so the disciples, I believe, repeated exactly what he said. And then Jesus told them, basically, and this is in my words, like I said, this is what I comprehended from what I read. So basically he told them, if anyone questions you as to why you're untying the donkey, if the owner walks by and sees you do it, tell them that I sent you, that the Heavenly Father needs them. And so it's basically, I guess, like how I would talk to somebody would be, and if they ask you any questions, tell them that I sent you. I get that's what he was getting at. In my head, that's what I picture. Like, he was like, I'm the one that sent you, so they shouldn't even have to ask you any questions, basically. And obviously not in like a bad demeanor by no means. But anyways, that's what I pictured in my head. As I read, I picture the story as well. So once they went and retrieved, the disciples went and retrieved the donkey and the baby donkey. In their way, they were on the outskirts of Jerusalem, for what I understood, the Mount of Olives. And they were going into Jerusalem as you continue to read. So when they get back, then they are journeying into Jerusalem, and they cut down branches, so they made a path for the donkeys, and then they put garments down for the animals. So they cleared a path, and then they covered the animal in garments. And then if you read the Luke 19:28 through 40, if you read that, it explains that these donkeys have never had anyone mounted upon them. So they've never been ridden. No one's ever ridden these donkeys before. So they were like brand new, in other words. And that's why Jesus chose them. And so when they walked through Jerusalem, the people, I'm assuming there was crowds, and they walked through a path of, I guess like what we would consider a road nowadays. The people said, "This is Jesus, the prophet of Nazareth from Nazareth of Galilee." And so I had a question out of what I read. So what's the significance of retrieving and walking with the donkeys? That's my question, to seek guidance in someone that has read the Bible front to back a million times. And that was my question to ask my preacher, if you're in a Bible study group, ask someone that may even be a little above you that has greater knowledge of the context. And so that was what I didn't understand, exactly what the significance of going and retrieving these donkeys and walking with them. Was it because when Jesus was born, his mother, Mary, rode upon a donkey into where she was going to give birth? So is it symbolism? is it Jesus' way of saying, this is who I am, because did he ride the donkey when they walked in, or was he walking next to them? So the context of what I read, the black and white version, didn't say those, didn't give answers from what I read. So that's something I'm going to seek in guidance in from someone that I know has read this text and maybe can give me an answer. And maybe they can't. Maybe they don't know themselves. But that's what I got from the context, like I said, the black and white version. But then this gives you a deeper meaning version to study and to look into. So the deeper meaning was, he was here to save us from the heavenly realm, to save us for the heavenly realm, not the worldly realm. So this refers to the people when they walked into Jerusalem. Everyone was shouting as if they knew who Jesus was. They shouted at him and celebratory, thinking he was going to save them from their flesh, from their fleshly desires, from their fleshly world, and that is not who Jesus was, and that's not what he was here for. And what this had me thinking was, so many times I think, Jesus is merciful, he's wonderful, he fulfills dreams, or he fulfills prayers, and he heals people, and he's wonderful, he's your father, he's exactly how your worldly father is, but even greater than that. And so I look at him like that, and I talk to him as if he's a friend. I talk to him all the time. Not even a formal prayer. Most of the time I just talk to him. And what I have to realize myself, what this made me realize, is he's also the God that destroyed cities because you didn't do as what he told you to. He's the God that, when the woman looked back at the city that he destroyed, turned her into a pillar of salt because she didn't do as he commanded. He's a God that is merciful, but he's also a God that is strict and that wants you to do as though he says. No different than your worldly father. There's consequences for disobeying. There's consequences for not doing as though he says, or for listening to what he thinks is best. There's consequences. Whether he's the one that gives you those consequences or not, your worldly father, our godly father is really almost no different. And so I have to take a step back and realize I've created this best friend, this God, this father. He is my father, my dad, and I talk to him no different than I would my own father. And so I have to take a step back and think, I still have to ask for forgiveness. I still have to make sure that I'm doing and reading his word and taking what he wants and living my daily life as though he wants me to live. And so that's what I also gathered from this deeper meaning of what the symptoms of spiritual blindness. And I mean, the title tells you everything in itself right there. But I want y'all to take this, and hopefully, if y'all came this far, I want y'all to go back and read Matthew 21, 1 through 11. Read Luke 19, 28 through 40. And start there. Start with me. Start this journey with me, because I will try my best to post every single day from now until I finish this particular study. And like I said, it's by Daily Grace Company. I believe this was the free study. It was just a PDF file version that I printed off my printer here at home. And I was going to say something else. I can't remember what I was going to say. But you don't have to print it off. I'm just somebody who likes to write. I don't like to do the notes on my phone or anything like that. I like to physically write because it helps me remember. But I will end this and let y'all soak and marinate on that, let y'all think. And feel free to comment down and have conversations. I don't have many followers or anything, so I always try to comment or reply back, and I would love to do like a Bible study in the comment section of what you took from this, the deeper meaning, or just the context of what you read. But I hope y'all enjoy this and stick with me. So this is day 1 tomorrow will be day 2. I'm gonna go ahead and film day 2 since I'm on day 2 today. That way y'all aren't behind. But I hope y'all enjoyed this and stick with this study with me.